Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. I'm Utsaf Parekh and I'll bring you the top stories of the day. A large explosion has occurred near the Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. The explosion occurred in the early hours of the day. A loud impact and flash reflected on the nearby buildings following the strike. People gathered outside the hospital were seen running for cover. The Israel-Hamas war has claimed more than 12,000 lives on both the Palestinian and Israeli sides so far. This is according to data released by health authorities on both sides. Yesterday, the Gaza Strip's health department revealed a staggering death toll of 10,569 people. The West Bank has reported 163 fatalities. Meanwhile, Israel has reported that over 1,400 people have lost their lives since the war began. A spokesperson from the US State Department said that the Rafah border crossing between Egypt and Gaza was closed yesterday. This was due to an unspecified security issue. Earlier, the evacuations of foreign passport holders through the crossing were suspended on Saturday and Sunday. This was after an Israeli strike on an ambulance that was heading to Rafah. However, the crossing was opened again on Monday. Hamas's Al-Qassam brigade has released a new video. It claims to show a close fight between the Israeli forces and Hamas on the streets of Gaza. Meanwhile, Israeli forces have also released a new video which claims to show strikes on Hamas's tunnel network. Israel says these tunnels were found near a school in southern Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with the Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte in Jerusalem yesterday. This was Rutte's second visit to Israel since the Israel-Hamas war broke out. Netanyahu thanked Rutte for his friendship and support during wartime. Tensions in Syrian border villages are mounting amid the escalating Israel-Hamas war. Some United Nations outposts in the villages have been evacuated. According to Syrian villagers and military officers, border villages are closely monitored by Israel. Any moving object deemed suspicious is at risk of being attacked. Israel has struck Syria's southern province of Quneitra 4 times since the war began. Syria's local arsenals and radar systems were hit in the Israeli strikes. Italy has sent a hospital ship close to the coast of Gaza. This is according to the Italian defense minister. The hospital ship will help treat victims of the Israel-Hamas war. The ship has 170 staff, including 30 people trained for medical emergencies. The minister added that Italy is also working to set up a field hospital in Gaza. In other political news, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has recommended opening formal membership talks with Ukraine. This is as soon as it meets final conditions. Von der Leyen says Kyiv currently meets 4 out of 7 conditions to start formal talks. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has hailed this move as a quote-unquote historic step. Meanwhile, Ukraine is seeing its support decline among its allies. The US has said that it has depleted 96% of the funds that it had allocated for Ukraine. Some Republicans in the US have now become skeptical about further funding for Ukraine's war effort. Separately, Slovakia's new government has also rejected a previously drafted plan to donate rockets and ammunition to Ukraine. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with his South Korean counterpart Park Jin in Seoul today. The talks were centered around growing military ties between North Korea and Russia. Blinken is on a 2-day visit to South Korea. This is the first visit to South Korea by a US Secretary of State in 2.5 years. It's part of Blinken's broader Asia trip. He's expected to travel to India tomorrow. Azerbaijan held a military parade on Wednesday. This was to mark the 3rd anniversary of the 2022 Nagorno-Karabakh war. Troops and military armor lined up the central square of Stepanakert in the Nagorno-Karabakh region. Following this, the Azerbaijan President Ilham Aliyev delivered a celebratory speech. In 2020, Azerbaijan began a military operation to take over the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region. Myint Sui, the acting president of military-ruled Myanmar, has said that the country is at the risk of breaking apart. This is due to the ineffective management of recent violence in its border regions with China. The Myanmar junta is facing the biggest challenge to its authority since it gained power after a 2021 coup. In the northeast, the junta is losing control of some border trade towns with China. A woman was killed in Bangladesh as protests by garment workers turned violent yesterday. Police used tear gas and rubber bullets while protesters threw stones. The workers have been protesting to demand a raise in their wages. The government has agreed to hike their pay by 56%. However, the workers have demanded almost twice the amount offered. In climate news, a smog tower was installed in India's capital, New Delhi. Smog towers are air purifiers that help reducing air pollution particles. This is the Delhi government's latest measure to curb the pollution crisis in the city. The air quality in India's capital remains hazardous after days of toxic smoke cover the city. The Delhi government has delayed the implementation of the odd-even system in the city, though. Under this scheme, cars can only take to the streets on odd or even numbered days, depending on the last digit of their car registration number. This was one of the Delhi government's measures to bring down the pollution levels in the city. However, the scheme's implementation was paused after India's Supreme Court said that it would review the scheme's effectiveness. Along with India, Pakistan is also struggling with a pollution crisis. Schools and businesses had to be shut in the Pakistani city of Lahore due to growing pollution levels. The air quality in Lahore has been deemed hazardous. Heavy smoke has enveloped various regions of Pakistan. Somalia was hit by one of the worst floods in decades a few days ago. Somalia's National Disaster Management Agency said that 29 people lost their lives in the flood. Over 300,000 people had to flee from their homes. The government has declared an emergency. The flood comes after a 4-year drought in Somalia. The overflowing Parana River in South America's Paraguay has displaced thousands. The heavy rains forced many to leave their homes and move to shelters in southern Paraguay. Over 35,000 people have been impacted by the rains. The upcoming weekend is expected to bring more storms. Cleanup operations are underway in northeast China days after an unseasonal blizzard hit the region. The heavy snowfall hit northern China a few days ago, resulting in a sharp drop in temperatures. A 100 cleanup crews and 16 snowblowers have been deployed for snow clearance. According to a recent study by an Iranian university, human-induced global warming is responsible for severe droughts in Syria, Iraq and Iran since 2020. The climate crisis is making prolonged and severe droughts more frequent. Before global warming, these droughts were rare, occurring once every few centuries. But now, they happen more often. For example, Iran is experiencing extreme drought every 5 years on average, compared to every 80 years previously. The ongoing global warming is expected to worsen the situation, while existing vulnerabilities from conflicts amplify the humanitarian crisis. Now on to business and tech news. The US economy is headed for a soft landing. This is according to Brian Moynihan, the CEO of Bank of America. He expects the economy to avoid a recession even as consumer spending is slowing down. Moynihan says that consumer spending has slowed to the range of 4 to 4.5% at the bank in October. He added that this is about half the pace seen earlier this year. The German economy will contract in 2023 and recover only slightly next year. This is according to the annual report of the German Council of Economic Experts. According to the experts, Germany's gross domestic product is expected to contract by 0.4% in 2023. This is in line with the forecast of the German government. For 2024, the experts forecast a growth of 0.7%. This, however, is well below the government's projection of 1.3% growth. The UK Treasury's Economic Secretary, Andrew Griffith, has said that Britain is not facing a recession at the moment. However, he added that there is more work to do for the economy to grow at a better rate. Griffith also reiterated that Britain's biggest focus was to continue driving down the nation's inflation rate. Auditing giant PricewaterhouseCoopers Australia has announced hundreds of job cuts. It'll let go of 338 staff members. The auditor has cited a slowing economy and the after effects of its involvement in a national scandal for the layoffs. PwC has been under fire in Australia. This was after revelations that the company was involved in the leaking of confidential government tax plans to shore up their business. Tesla says it has raised the prices of its refreshed Model 3 and Model Y long-range vehicles in China. The new prices go into effect from today. The electric vehicle maker will increase the price of its Model 3 version by $206. Meanwhile, the prices for Model Y long-range vehicles have been hiked by about $300. Rivian Automotive raised its production forecast for the full year by 2,000 vehicles. It now aims to produce a total of 54,000 vehicles by the end of the year. Rivian also announced plans to end its exclusivity deal with Amazon for its electric delivery van. This opens the door for more customers around the world. British retailer Marks & Spencer has reported a 75% rise in its half-yearly profit. The firm reported $441 million in profit for the 6 months to September 30th. This is far higher than what analysts had expected. Marks & Spencer also sees its full-year profit jumping by 30%. CocaCola HBC will temporarily withdraw batches of 2 soft drinks from sale in Croatia. CocaCola HBC is a subsidiary of beverage maker Coca-Cola. The company's move comes as Croatian authorities investigate cases of illness suspected to have been caused by the beverages. Coca-Cola HBC said that it hasn't found any irregularities in either product. However, it was withdrawing the products until official investigations conclude. Amazon has begun cutting jobs in its music division. The layoffs have reportedly affected employees in Latin America, North America, and Europe. However, the scale of the job cuts is not known. This is the latest in the several rounds of layoffs being carried out by the retail giant. The eliminations have affected more than 27,000 Amazon employees in total. Britain's communications regulator, Ofcom, said that companies must focus on protecting children from abuse. Ofcom said this in a draft code that was published today. The regulator has said it'll force firms like Meta Platforms to make their services safer. This includes enacting steps like stopping users who are not in a child's connection list from messaging them. Moving to sports, let's start with updates from the Cricket World Cup. England beat the Netherlands by 160 runs last night. The English side batted first and scored 339 runs with all-rounder Ben Stokes smashing a century. Batters David Mallon and Chris Wokes scored half-centuries for England. The Flying Dutchman had no answer to spin bowling and were bowled out for 179 runs in the 37th over. England spinners Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali took 3 wickets each. England's Ben Stokes scored 108 runs in yesterday's win against the Netherlands. He has become the first English player to score more than 10,000 runs and take over 100 wickets in international cricket. Stokes now joins the elite list of only 5 other players who have scored over 10,000 runs while taking over 100 wickets. In other cricket news, the captain of Australia's women's team, Meg Lanning, has announced her retirement. The 31-year-old has shocked fans worldwide with the sudden announcement. The all-rounder was picked to lead the Aussie women's team in 2014. Lanning has won 7 World Cup titles and has played 241 matches for Australia in her 13-year career. Moving to football, here are the updates from the Champions League. Manchester United lost 4-3 to FC Copenhagen in yesterday's high-scoring thriller. Both teams were tied 2-2 going into the second half. Copenhagen got the edge when the Red Devils were reduced to 10 players. This was after Marcus Rashford was sent off for making a nasty tackle. United scored on a penalty in the 69th minute to make the score 3-2, but Copenhagen then came back with 2 more goals to win the match 4-3. Arsenal beat Sevilla 2-0 in last night's Champions League match. The game was played at Arsenal's home turf, the Emirates Stadium. Leandro Trossard scored in the 29th minute and Bukayo Saka scored in the 69th to seal the win for Arsenal. The Gunners have now secured a berth in the final 16 of the tournament. German giants Bayern Munich beat Turkish side Galatasaray 2-1 in yesterday's match. Striker Harry Kane fired a double in the second half for Bayern. Galatasaray attempted a comeback with a goal in second half injury time, but fell short of a draw. Bayern have now entered the knockout stages of the Champions League. Real Madrid beat Portuguese club SC Braga 3-0 last night. Brahim Diaz, Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo scored the goals for Real Madrid in a one-sided game. The Spanish Giants have also secured a place in the round of 16. In other football news, armed individuals raided Brazilian footballer Neymars' apartment in Sao Paulo. The gunmen attempted to kidnap Neymars' partner and his newborn daughter. They were unsuccessful in their kidnapping attempt after police officials rushed to Neymars' house. But the suspects, who are still at large, managed to steal money, purses and jewelry. Indian player PV Sindhu has been granted a protected ranking by the Badminton World Federation. This is after she suffered a knee injury in October. Sindhu, who is currently ranked world number 10, will retain the spot until she is fit to play again. However, the protected ranking will be in place only for the next 12 months. The Indian men's and women's squad participated at the Asian Archery Championships. The tournament was hosted in Thailand's capital, Bangkok. The Indian women's recurve and men's compound both scored bronze medals yesterday. However, India were not able to secure a Paris Olympic quota, which is only reserved for those who finish first. In entertainment news, the Hollywood actors' strike has come to an end after 118 days. The union representing the striking actors reached a tentative deal with Hollywood studios yesterday. This contract will be valid for the next 3 years. The new deal will reportedly benefit actors by providing health insurance and pensions. There have also been guarantees put in place regarding the use of artificial intelligence in Hollywood. The Hollywood actors were on strike since July this year. Actor Patrick Dempsey has been named the sexiest man alive. According to reports, Dempsey was completely shocked after receiving the news. In an interview, he said, and I quote, "It's nice to have the recognition." New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art announced the theme of the 2024 Met Gala. The theme is Sleeping Beauty's Reawakening Fashion. Keeping up with its tradition, the event will take place on the first Monday of May, and that is the 6th. People will be able to see over 250 garments from the past 4 centuries. Disney is planning to license more shows and films to the streaming platform Netflix. Disney CEO Bob Iger earlier had reservations about Netflix, but now seems convinced about a partnership. Iger, however, clarified that core Disney intellectual properties like Pixar, Marvel and Star Wars won't be a part of the deal. The late actor Matthew Perry had said that if his biopic is ever made, he would like Zac Efron to play his role. Efron says he would be honored to do it. Remembering the late actor, Efron said Perry was like a mentor to him and that he always looked up to the late star. Efron has previously played the role of a young Perry in the 2009 film 17 Again. Record producer Timbaland issued an apology on TikTok to Britney Spears for his recent misogynistic comments. In a video, he expressed his regret to Spears and her fans. Last month, Timbaland said that Justin Timberlake should have put a muzzle on Spears. This was after Britney Spears revealed that she had an abortion while pregnant with Justin Timberlake's child. She wrote about it in her recently published memoir. Singer Katy Perry has won a lawsuit over her home in Montecito, California. She had bought the house from a man called Carl Westcott. He filed a lawsuit in August 2020 against Perry's business manager. Westcott claimed that he was mentally incapacitated when the sale happened. A judge ruled that Westcott was of sound mind during the sale, in a victory for Katy Perry. Canadian singer Shania Twain's tour bus met with an accident. Following the crash, her crew members were rushed to a hospital. Twain was reportedly not on the bus at the time. The bus was traveling to her Queen of Me tour's next venue when the accident took place. Snowfall actor Damson Idris and model Lori Harvey have decided to end their relationship. They announced their separation through a joint statement. The former couple said the reason for the breakup was that their individual lives required more attention. Rumors of their split started growing after they unfollowed each other on social media and also deleted their images together. The two had dated for over a year. Actor Ashley Benson of Pretty Little Liars fame has tied the knot with her beau, Brandon Davis. This comes days after the couple announced that they're soon going to become parents. Ashley's mother confirmed the news by posting a picture of the wedding rings. The couple got engaged last July. Brandon Davis is the grandson of billionaire oil tycoon Marvin Davis. That's all for this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.